Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. On this video today, I'm interviewing Steve. Steve is one of my academy students who recently hit 3 lakhs per month in revenue, working for clients in the tech niche specifically. And I would be talking with him for the next half an hour, discussing how he got his clients. What does he do differently? What was the journey like from scratch to making his first lakh and beyond? And all the nitty-gritty details that you as a beginner might find helpful if you are also trying to target high-ticket clients in various industries for freelancing services. So without any further ado, let us get started. Steve, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, Saheli. Thank you for the intro. I'm Steve. I'm working as a freelance content writer. I'm mostly into the tech niche. I work with tech companies, SaaS companies, and I offer content writing services. I also work with the founders to work on the content strategy. They don't have a dedicated content team. I write mostly long form blogs about tech, how it works, what they should look for, best practices and all. So I work on just about all sort of content like the AI, tech, cloud, IoT, DevOps, anything and everything tech is about. So yeah, that's about me. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Cochin, Kerala. So and I'm trained as a biotechnology engineer. So okay, yeah, that's about me.
So does your background help in getting these gigs that you do?
I when I was doing my engineering, I branched off a lot. Like I got my hands in just about all the pies. You know, I was learning coding, I was learning 3D printing, 3D designing, and everything. And that helped me during my first job, like my second job actually, where I was handling like 4 or 5 different roles at the same time. I was doing graphics designing, social media marketing, then business development, and I was also into UI UX designing. And I was working, I actually got the opportunity to become the product owner for a SaaS company, for a SaaS product. So I had like the first-hand insight into how developers think what the tech audience really loves. So I was able to give that. So I think that helps me a lot with, finding clients and all.
All right. So if I were to take your advice as a beginner, I have very little idea about tech. And I know that a lot of people watching this may have a tech background or may not have a tech background. In that case, if I want to work with clients in this industry, what are the things I should keep in mind? By the way, guys, why is tech a really good industry to get into? Because it's very high paying. Okay, that is the top reason to get into tech. So what will be your advice for those who are absolute beginners with no idea which fields will be easier for them? For example, as per my research, data science may still be something they might be able to get in easily, but hardcore coding would be still very hard. Okay, but then I'm an outsider, so will you give me your perspective? What should a beginner do and not do to educate themselves on these niches so that they can start getting the higher paying clients?
I would say learn more about the audience. I think when people talk about particular niches or when particular industries, I think there is a certain you need a certain understanding of what that industry is about. An insider perspective from that industry, but also I think you need a very good understanding of the audience. I think that matters a bit more. Like you need to know what audience will know something and what audience will not know something. For example, if you're talking about IoT or something and we're writing for the general audience, they may not be familiar with, they may be familiar with smart gadgets like, a smartwatch or an Alexa assistant devices, but they may not be aware of things like LoRaWAN, things like gateways, that sort of stuff. So you need to get this feel of what the audience knows. And I would really recommend, following these very good tech pages on Instagram or whichever social media you actually use a lot. Like, for example, and I would recommend pages like MIT Technology Review, The Verge, then there's this TechCrunch, and stay on top of what is happening in the tech world right now. Wired is a very good source, by the way, and see how they are communicating this new tech to the audience. So that should give you a good idea of that voice you need to bring in. So that is something. And when it comes to, I would say it's easier. Like when it comes to writing about tech, I would say I've written about things that I've never really worked on. So you can get into things even if you don't have first-hand experience using it. I've worked written articles about cloud ops, AI ops, DevOps, and all sorts of stuff. I've never worked in any of these people, and I barely have any first-hand experience talking to people working in these industries. But there are very good sources on the internet where you can find a lot of information. If you're new into this, you may have to put in a bit more effort, but the information is most of the time it's out there. I think the most difficult thing I've written was about this company that was making insulators for EV batteries. That was a bit difficult because there wasn't a lot of information on the internet. So I had to, talk directly with the founders and all to collect information. But there are various ways. There's a lot of sources. There are many coding schools, and there are many tech pages on tech websites and all where you can find information. Just do a bit more research into this, and you can get into this. I mean, I'm a biotechnology engineer. I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer, but so I can do this. So it's just about passion. Yeah.
So guys, he just named 5-6 amazing resources or even more. So I'm going to mention all of that in the description so that you can check them out after this podcast ends for sure. But Steve, now that you've given us a lot of insight on how these industries look like, what does client acquisition in these industries look like? And on that note, why did you join Freelance 101 Academy? You seem very experienced and you know what you're doing. So I would like to know, why are you a part of F101?
Yeah, the thing is, I knew how to write content. I didn't know how to find clients. That's the reason I joined. And honestly, until I came across your page and I came across Saheli Chatterjee on Instagram, I had no clue that content writing was such an awesome gig. In fact, I was actually planning to move on to something else, maybe like UI UX or something in the future. I actually got invested in this like amazing laptop just for the sake of moving on to UI UX. But then one of my friends, she suddenly asked me hey, do you know that can you get like 1 rupee per word for content writing? And I'm like, that would be impossible, because that was my perspective at that point. At that point, I was thinking like, that's 1 rupee per word. Who's gonna pay for that? I've seen a lot of gigs on Facebook and all, but they offer like 10 paise per word and all. So I was very surprised. And then I got this inbound client. I wasn't even doing any work. One of these clients, she had read one of my blogs and he just came up and she was from the UK. And my friend was, I asked my friend like, hey, how much should I charge? And he's like, at least go for like just 1 rupee per word. And I just quoted that, and the client just accepted it just like that. Like, it was not a big deal for them. So then I realized, there is a lot more to it, and I wanted to figure out how to do this thing. And that's how I joined Freelance 101 Academy. And then I think I learned about getting clients, but I also learned about, personal branding, things that would help you build a business. It wasn't just getting clients. So that's something that I didn't know I had to learn. So I learned that a lot from Freelance 101 Academy. So as far as getting clients goes, I'm mostly into LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn. That's my jam. I'm also on Instagram and I'm also on Twitter, but I rarely use either of them. I think it takes a lot more time and energy. Yeah. So LinkedIn is my jam. LinkedIn works for me. So I would say, find your ideal client profile. That is like the best advice that anyone can ever give you on LinkedIn or whichever platform you're doing. Nail it down where you want from them, which companies you want to work, or which industry you want to work, what their role in that company is, and then just target them. When you approach them, like, go for that. And recently I also started cold pitching people on LinkedIn as well, and the same thing matters a lot. Like, this ideal client profile, that client profile that you build, who you want to work with, what sort of industry you want to be in, that will help you get good clients. And I think, and personal experience, I would say, higher paying clients tend to be good generally.
So Steve, you just mentioned that LinkedIn is your jam. For a beginner who's watching this, let's say they don't have any LinkedIn presence, and it doesn't matter if it's just content writing, I'd like you to cover for any freelancer only, if possible. How can they approach clients on LinkedIn? How can they get clients on LinkedIn? Because LinkedIn is definitely a platform I use as well. But I have seen that almost everybody I speak to has a different way of using LinkedIn. Okay. The basics are always the same, but tactics are always changing. So what is it that you do on LinkedIn to get clients, and what can a beginner do or take away from that?
Right. So I would okay, if you just optimize your LinkedIn profile, that itself will probably set you apart from a very significant number of people on LinkedIn. That itself should bring you to the top of the list to a certain extent. Okay, optimize your client profile, set it up for your ideal clients. Okay, optimize your profile, not your client profile. And another thing I would say is, connect with people, the right people. Okay, I think a lot of people send a connection request to just about every other freelancer. Or if you're a content writer, you keep sending connect requests to all the content writers in your area. The thing is, you're not going to get work from your fellow content writers. You might, but that's not not going to work in a lot. Okay, so I would say my thing is like, let's say around 80% of people who I connect with are people who are in my industry, people, the clients, the potential clients in my industry, people who are into CEOs of tech companies, people who are into content marketing, who are content strategists at tech companies. Those are the people I usually connect with. And then I also connect with some of the people who are doing the same thing as me, who are into tech, who are into content writing, because I think you need some visibility as well. Like it might seem like getting going after likes and engagement is not always the best thing, because you can get likes and engagements if you just post a lot of motivational stories. But you need to combine that a bit. You need to get eyeballs on your content, and also you need to make sure that these eyeballs are actually coming from your ideal clients, your target audience. So I would say the rest 20% you people connect with, that should be people in your industry. And I think I also connect with people who resonate with my brand. I also want to build that personal brand on LinkedIn, so I also connect with people who resonate with that. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to be in my industry necessarily. They could be just people who have like my sense of humor sometimes, or they could be people who are into my sense of politics. I am people who are into LGBTQIA activists, people who promote equality, diversity, and equity on internet and in their workspaces. A lot of women founders, people who are like, how do I say, people are pushing for more representation in the workforce. So that is like my kind of people. That is the kind of people I enjoy the content of. So I also add people like that too. So you should not be, I would say you need to have like a very good approach when it comes to connecting with people, not just randomly kind of sending connect requests to people who have a lot of reach or a lot of engagement, or people who are in your industry. You need to be very focused on that as well. So yeah, that is my LinkedIn thing. Yeah.
Okay, so what is the kind of keywords that one can search for to find these people? I think that's the top question I get asked every time I say that connect with somebody. So what are the keywords you personally vouch for that, you should search this and you'll find the right person?
I would say that really depends on your ideal client profile. For instance, it doesn't like, for me, it's people who are in the tech industry, people who will give me work. Okay, so if you're looking for like, if I'm looking for very small business, okay, my current keyword is, okay, it's custom software development. That's the keyword that I've currently put in LinkedIn. Okay, and I've set my filters to companies with less than 100 people or something like that. Okay, so if I find that there's very few people on LinkedIn, I mean people employed in this company in LinkedIn, okay, when I look up these people, I would just send a connect request to their CEO, because there's a very good chance that the CEO might be in charge of content and that sort of thing as well, the C-suite people. But if it's a very large company, or if I find someone that says content writer as employed in that company, or if I say content strategist in that company, I would send a request to those people as well. So keyword, this is what works for me. This is the kind of clients that I want to get, custom software development. The companies that I look for almost always have this custom software development in their bios or somewhere in their LinkedIn profile. So I get to bring all of them into one single set, and I can just filter them, just connect with them. But that may not work for someone who is into the fashion industry. That may not work for someone who is into medical writing. So you'll have to look into your ideal client profile, see what is if there's something common in them. It doesn't have to be, like med tech CEO. I think it would work better with the algorithm if you can find a common phrase in that company. For instance, maybe you can say patients, a patient history or something like that. It doesn't sound very right, but if you can help it, help you filter it down, yeah, that works. So yeah, that's the kind of keyword you should look for.
I personally love searching for things like leadership coach.
Yeah.
Because I work in the coaching industry.
Yeah.
And leadership coaches are, the kind of people I'm really enjoying working with, because they like train these corporate level people, and they have a wildly different set of insights. And that is something I want to get that I can't get if I don't work with such people. So, I mean, my psychology of working right now is not for the sake of working, but rather for the sake of learning. So I'm really working with a lot of people who are actually like corporate trainers lately.
Right.
Apart from that, some people in parenting and health and etc. etc. So for that also, like simple words like parenting, fitness, etc. Fitness coach, those terms work very well for me, because I mean, it's as simple as that. However, I guess for coaching, the presence is actually better on Instagram, especially for things that you need to show visually, like fitness needs to be shown visually. LinkedIn can only do so much. So unless you are targeting fitness for CEOs, then LinkedIn might be actually great. But yeah, that is one insight that I also wanted to drop on the lines of what you were sharing. But yeah, those keywords actually sound really good. Talking about getting clients, how has your journey evolved as somebody who charges minimal or entry-level charges to someone who is able to charge much more? Because you mentioned you just hit like 3 lakhs. So how does that happen, and how long did this take? Can I get a realistic timeline? Because some students are like, whoop.
Yeah.
And others are like, so which category are you in, and what was your journey like?
I've been, I would say it's more or less, slow and steady rise. That's been my income thing. So I joined F101 like last May or something like that. That is 2021 May or something. And pretty soon, like I would say, I paid 8,000. Like this is what I tell all my friends. Okay, I paid like around 8,000, 9,000 rupees for the course, and within like the next 1 week or so, I got it back from my clients. So that's like my engineering course did not do that for me. So yeah. So that was pretty good. And then you work on more clients. You try working with more clients, and you slowly raise your rates. Like you raise your rates. And earlier, my thing was raising my rates after a certain time period. Okay, that was my approach. Like for example, if I work with certain number of clients, were like I'd raise my rates after 3 months, and I'd raise my rates after like maybe a 6-month period or 9-month period. But that doesn't always work out well, because sometimes the clients don't want to raise the rates. I mean, for the same service, they don't want. They feel like they're getting the same thing. They don't want to raise the rates. So something I'm trying right now is increase the rates when there's like too much work for you. When you have like too many clients in your list and you can't handle that, so you pick the lowest paying client and you increase the rates. So if they accept the rates, sure, you got the increased rate. If they don't accept the rate, you drop the client and you find someone else to fill that. So that's kind of the approach that I'm going right now. I hope my clients don't get mad when they see this video at some point. But that's I think
smart.
that's kind of what everyone else is doing. That I spoke to a couple of other freelancers as well, and that's the general approach that I'm hearing. And now I am, and another strategy that I'm doing right now is go with around 30% increase whenever you get a new client. When you get a new client, go with 30% more than your highest paying client. That's the rates that I'm working with. So for a realistic timeline, I would say I hit 1 lakh per month in 2022 March. I think that's a pretty realistic timeline. I did that even while I was holding a full-time job. I had a full-time job. I was working 9 to 5 with this full-time job. After that, I would work on my freelance thing, and I had weekends off, so I would work on my freelance work during my weekends. So at that space, with that time, with that resources, with that energy, I was able to hit 1 lakh rupees per month by March. So if you're focusing solely on freelance, if you don't have a full-time job, you may be able to hit that way earlier, I would say. Another thing is, I had like, when I say I had like a full-time job, I would say I had like a very strict work-life balance with that full-time job. I log in exactly at 9, I quit exactly at 5. That may not be true for a lot of full-time professionals, is what I've heard. A lot of people, they don't, there's no set time, particularly if you're working with an Indian company. That's what I've heard. So that might be another setback for people working with a full-time job. So yeah, I hope that gives like a realistic picture. And I hit, and another thing is, like I said in the beginning of this interview, September was like a very dull
Very
month
tough.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
it was
saw.
a yeah. I didn't have a lot of clients. A lot of clients, their project ended, and I didn't have a lot of clients. So what I did was, I didn't have time to work on client work, so I just put all of my energy into working on myself. I put a lot of energy. I just, I was posting more frequently on LinkedIn. I was reaching out to clients. I knew that the method would work, because I've been in the situation before. I've been like in this, rut before, like where I didn't have much clients. But and I just put all this effort into it, and by October it was paid off really well. I hit like my highest ever income goal. So yeah, that's another thing I want to share. New freelancers, if you're not working on client projects, put all of that energy into working on yourself, working on your portfolio, working on your social media, working on reaching out to new clients. That should do the trick. Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that I also want to mention is that when you're not getting clients, or when you have less clients, you should not worry about, why don't I have more clients yet, or why don't I have clients yet? Just focus on your skills. And yes, maybe still try to get your first client if you've not gotten even one client in your life, because then you don't have proof of concept of your skill yet.
Yeah.
But otherwise, once you start getting clients, you have very little time left to work on your skills. Problem is that you get outdated very quickly if you don't work on your skills. So take that time as a recharge period. Like, for example, right now I'm working with almost 8 clients. I have not upskilled anything nicely in the last 3-4 months. So I'm just thinking that maybe in December I will take it a bit, low, maybe let go of a few much more demanding clients, just to make some time for myself, because now slowly the client results will start suffering, and then I'll not get paid as much. Right. So this is something I think you've shared really insightful, Steve, that September was hard, but then how October became much better because of that hard September. I don't think you would have been able to get your highest paying client if that September did not happen, right?
Yeah, that is true. I don't, I, when I have like a lot of clients on my hand, my own work usually takes a setback. Like I don't get enough time to work on my socials. I don't get a lot of time to, work on my personal brand, and also, and I don't get a lot of time to reach out to new clients. So that September didn't happen. I would have been working with my clients. I would have gotten a consistent income, but this high would not have happened without that almost empty September. Yeah.
Got it. Something that I do think that I should start doing now is a 60-day, 90-day wait list kind of a thing, because I also currently don't do it yet. And I feel like for those periods, I think pipelines would help. But yes, for the longest time, I feel like I am so much more content working with a few set clients. Even I find difficulty applying that strategy. So maybe that's something we can talk about in a later podcast. But one of the things I'd like to know from you, Steve, is what was your favorite part of Freelance 101? Because you were a very active member in the academy ever since you
Yeah.
had joined. And of course, although like after a year, the activity, of course, decreases, you've still kept us updated more or less. So I would like to know, what is your favorite part of everything?
I think I was able to find people who was in the same track as me, and I was able to find someone who I can just randomly call up and talk about work. people around me usually are not into this freelancing thing. They don't usually get what I'm doing. As far as they're concerned, I'm sitting in front of my laptop the entire day. So there, and I can't usually ask for advice from their end. So I found people, I found Butla, Niveda, Lucky Mehtani, people like that. I can just, I can just text them, hey, are you busy? Can we hop on a quick Google Meet and I just want to talk something about it? And they're there if they're the time, or I can just send a voice note. I can do that. So that's one of the good things, like when you want to work in a different path, it's always good to have a buddy. It's always good to have someone who understands this thing, who can like act as a sounding board. Like you have all these ideas, you want to know if it's good, if it's going to work out, you want to know if the plan is sound. You get that. So that's something that I really like. And another thing was with Freelance 101 Academy, it's that there was always answers. I didn't have to worry about, I didn't have to worry about like, hey, what will I do if I get stuck? There was always options. I can always ask in the Facebook group. I can always ask during the weekly calls. I didn't have to worry about like, hey, I'm stuck. What will I do? I always had that insurance policy of asking. I won't get stuck. So that's another thing. I'm always a very careful person when I'm investing in something. When I'm buying a phone or when I'm buying a laptop, I always do a lot of research into this. And this is was one of the selling points. There was always a fallback. Something went wrong, you can always get in touch with someone. Yeah, so that's something.
And I think freelance journey, like something or the other is always going wrong.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But if you're not getting clients, that is going wrong. But after getting clients, also so many things can go wrong. I mean, there's no end to it. It's a very long journey, and if somebody wants to scale, that is. So I'm very happy that you're scaling right now. To end this, I'm going to ask you, if somebody's watching this with no idea of what their most profitable skill is, how to approach clients, whether they are even going to be a good freelancer or not, what is going to be your tip for them to be able to take the next step immediately?
A lot of people actually ask me this. A lot of people actually ask me how to do this thing. And the first thing that I always do is understand yourself. I think I remember the first few exercises that you gave to us in the beginning of the sessions. To understand yourself, like, what do you like? What are your skills? What are the skills that you were born with? What are the skills that you acquired? What do you resonate with? What are your passions? What are your hobbies? What do you like? What don't you like? What are the things that matters to you most? And then work your way through there. Understand yourself first a bit, and then that sets the foundation. Okay, and I always tell them, like, it may look like a lot of people saying, like, I made 1 lakh rupees a month. You might hear I made 3 lakh rupees a month, but it may sound a bit like, it's more easier than your regular 9-to-5 job, but there is still a considerable effort that goes into this. When you find clients that pays like maybe $1,000 a month, there is a lot of work that has happened months or maybe even years back that has helped you reach that point. So yes, if you're going freelancing, you'll have a lot more freedom, you'll make a lot more money, but you need to be able to push yourself. It's a very self-driven thing. Nobody's gonna, like, if in a job you slack off, maybe your manager will come and shout at you or something. But if in freelancing you slack off, it's just going to affect your income goals. That gives you the flexibility, that also gives you the responsibility over your own life. So that's something you need to keep on. So that's what I tell everyone, and I always send them, like, hey, save up a bit, buy a laptop, and join this Freelance 101 Academy. That's most of the time I tell them. That's what I tell friends and all, because I can guide them to a certain extent, but you need something more. You need this class. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Oh, thank you so much. But nobody needs to, invest in a course or something. Like, I don't know. It's counterintuitive being somebody who has one. But then I strongly believe that people should start with free materials. And once they have at least one client, or at least like clarity that they want to do this, then investing is still a good idea. But I think still the basics can be done absolutely for free, for sure. So yeah, thank you very much for the words, though. I would really appreciate it. And you've shared some really good advice and really good tips and strategies that you're using. I'll leave the links and every resource you've mentioned in the chat box below. sorry, in the description below. And I'm also going to drop links to Steve's LinkedIn and his Instagram. Those are your most active platforms, right? Those are the platforms I've spoken to you on. So I'm not sure if there are others where you are also active. So I'll drop
Twitter, but it's
restricted as well. Okay. All of them I'll drop in the chat. Wherever you want to connect with him, you can do that. If you have any questions, he is an extremely approachable person. Definitely somebody that our whole OG Academy batch knows already. And yes, I am going to let you take in all the notes that you have, kind of jotted down and implement it in your freelance journey. And yes, if you are ready to become a freelancer, make sure that you watch more of my videos on portfolio making, proposal building, and how you can get clients. Or you can also consider joining Freelance 101 Academy, but that is for later this year. Till then, I am going to leave you with all the insights that Steve has just shared, and I'm going to wish you all the best to get your first client. Steve, any last word?
Nothing much, just push on, just keep up the work, be consistent with your work, even if you don't have clients, keep up that consistency, try to work daily, and take a day off if you're just tired and if you're burnt out. Yeah, I mean, when you work freelancing, it might feel like you need to work like every 30 days of the month. You don't have to. Just take a day off if you're tired. Just take a day off, prioritize your health, and just crack on, just push on, and you'll get whatever you want to be. That's what I'd say. So yeah, that's my words.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And yes. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody.